We're in. Let's go, baby. Thursday night football coming at you live. Moneyline Monaco. I got smoked so bad Monday night. We had to trim the fro. You see it, Under 6 Foot Club. Subscribe, rate, review. You can fade me on some of these. Some of these are emotional. I host a New York sports show, better half hour. Got to be honest. Sometimes I look at the New York painting as a San Diego kid a little too optimistically. If you notice, I'm still tan from the summer. Speaking of tan, we head down to Ace Ventura land. Like I love. We got Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, Miami Fins Up Dolphins hosting Tim the Tool Man Allen, Josh Allen. The hand, apparently, the claw, the non-throwing claw is good. We've seen line movement already in this one. At the moment, pending where you shop, I'll read a FanDuel line here. 2.5 points spread. Miami -2.5 on the spread at the moment. -142 on the money line. 48.5 is your over/under. Line has moved in favor of Miami. Now, you can get your splits, your tickets, your money at a number of sources. I like Action Network. Big fan. Subscribe to the pro service. Right now, we got tickets on Buffalo, money on Miami. You see diagonal grids at the moment. We've also seen the total, which opened closer to 50, be knocked down a little to 48.5. Now, I'm going to talk out a little bit of betting trends for Thursday Night Football, a little bit of head-to-head background, do a little research so you don't have to of these two teams. How do they fare? How does Thursday night set up? This is the real first Thursday night game as far as short rest. And then I'm going to kind of give my analysis, my 2 cents. You take in information in betting, and you ultimately have to go with your gambling gut. If you take another person's pick blind and it fails, you're going to kick yourself. If you take in someone's information, you hear it, you still come to your own conclusion, and you lose, and you don't chase, you sleep off the L like I did, you trim the fro. I was 6'1" with piano posture with this thing on Monday night. I put out a video that Aaron Rodgers was going to go into the place he grew up, the place he was snubbed all the way back to Alex Smith, and sauce the Niners. Super Bowl losers, week 1, 5-19 against the spread. The point is, I saw it emotionally. You emotionally bet, you often lose. We turn the page, week 2, first game. Now, let's just lay it out. Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, absolutely own Miami. I mean, Josh Allen is 10-2 against the Miami Dolphins. I even saw a CBS graphic show 11-1 in the last 12. Buffalo's outscored them 174 points. I mean, however you spin that, Buffalo owns Miami. Hogwarts, Gryffindor swept them last year. One of them, Buffalo posted over 45 points on their noggin. Miami, let's talk now. Short week at home. Shout out Action Network. Great trend. Tua under 3 points. 3 points or under, as a favorite at home is 9-3 against the spread. That's a big sample size for a guy in a spot 12 times. Now, Miami at home, Miami on the road, Jekyll and Hyde, not to mention warm weather club. Soon as the calendar turns freezing for your advent calendars, they get cooked. I mean, easiest bet on the board last playoffs was Miami going to Arrowhead and getting sent right back to Del Boca Vista. I digress. I'm looking at Miami here, who was 7-2 at home last year. They haven't been favorites against Buffalo in quite a while. Now, you look at last week, you take in a couple of elements. First element is Buffalo was a 6.5 point closing line favorite against Arizona, the lowly Arizona Cardinals. Some people kind of have them as betting darlings outperforming the market this year. I think they got a shot to be one of those teams you kind of sleep on against the spread that show up. Buffalo got up to plus 176 live, down 17-3 in a blink. Hate to tell you, they got outscored in 2 quarters against Arizona, tied one, and had a 14-0 third quarter. Outside of that third quarter, that huge Kyler Murray fumble, Josh Allen, and he's got to do it all year, folks, had to put on the cape. I mean, he almost looked like an NBA guy on a starting 5, and I don't know if he trusts his teammates yet. I mean, you go back and you look, box score, eye test, watch the film. 9 guys caught a ball. No one had 5 catches. Nobody had 5 receptions for the Buffalo Bills. He hurt his non-throwing hand, trying to hit Y on the Xbox, triangle, I believe, on the PlayStation controller, when he could have just handed the ball off to James Cook, pal. You're 28 years old, you're going to be 30 in a cup of coffee, and you're only going to be growing wider. I love what Josh Allen's doing. I think he's a top 5 quarterback in the league. I got to give him his flowers. But he doesn't have a supporting cast. I still have questions about this offensive line. Good. I don't know if they're great. Secondarily, where are we at with the Bills defense? Now, you got to really think about Buffalo Bills football last year, because Josh Allen led the league in interceptions, career high interceptions, second in the league with 18. Also kind of notorious for being a little sloppy with holding on the rock. Now he's got a non-throwing hand hurt, and we're going into April showers in September. There's supposed to be wind and rain Thursday night. Now, putting the road team in the sun while Miami relaxes in the 1 p.m. Eastern shade, no edge here. You hear that all day long from players, and weather and wind are huge factors, but this is a nighttime game. So you don't really get that cramping day, hot sun advantage Miami as you otherwise would in this. Still get home field advantage, but you got to look at Buffalo last week. Now, I went back and checked. They were still positive in the turnover differential last year, but I'm sorry. That was a 30 turnover, 30 takeaway defense last year. There were 3 teams that had 30 turnovers or more. Buffalo was one of them. It's the only reason why they were even plus in that category of turnover differential, because of how many times Josh Allen gave the football over. So I sit there and I go, all right, I watched week 1. I live bet the Bills. I won. Arizona covers. You may say, oh, they're up 11 late. No business covering. Got the kick return from DJ Dallas. Yeah, well, how about laying an egg in the first half? And how many times have we watched Buffalo Bills football? They look lethargic. They look one way in the first half, or to start, or at some point in the game, they just look flat, and then they turn it on. And they turn it on like an NBA team. They really do go on games of runs. But I'm looking at this Buffalo defense, and I'm not nearly as intimidated as I would be as a gambler comparative to last year. We're talking about secondary. Last year, Micah Hyde, not in a uniform. Poyer, in a Miami uniform. Tre'Davious White, in a Rams uniform. Taron Johnson ain't playing Thursday night. So you're looking at their secondary, which I got to be honest, I was relatively impressed with, given the new turnover, but I wasn't blown away with. And I don't think the Arizona offense, who posted 28 on their noggin, was that scared either. Josh Allen had to score 4 touchdowns total, put his body on the line in multiple instances, not 23 years old, 28. I'll say it again. In my early 30s, 90s kid. It matters. Okay, go ahead and leap around like a trampoline week 1. See how it comes back to bite you. When, again, do you trust your teammates? This is a game, to me, that I'm going head-to-head. Buffalo has crushed them under the Josh Allen era. Yet, we watched line movement in favor of Miami. This game opened closer to 1.5, chilled at 2. Now it's 2.5, pending where you shop. We also saw the game get bet down. Let's talk a little betting trends here from an over-under perspective. Now, Bills road games under McDermott, 61% to the under, 33-21-2. We got a 60% chance of rain and potentially winds of 10 or more miles an hour. You'd think primetime unders, last 2 seasons, last 4 seasons, closer to 60% than they are 50%. In fact, the exact number is 59% in the last 4 seasons. Now, you take head-to-head. You take that, you go head-to-head. Bills have won 9 of the last 10. They've scored 26 or more in 8 of the last 10 in this series. But I sit there, we turn the page with a Vic Fangio D. We'll see you. That's Philly's problem now to deal with Vic Fangio. Anthony Weaver read an article, Anthony Weaver instilling Baltimore 2000s grit mentality with this Miami Dolphins defense, who, oh, by the way, started out looking not great against the Jacksonville Jaguars, came back and didn't allow a single beer pong cup on the table in the second half. Not a blemish to their record. Now, Etienne fumbles inside the 5. This is football, bounces their way. The reality is they stuck to who they were, and they won that game. And the defense, which Phillips back, Chubb not here yet, David Long in that game, huge, an all-star consummate veteran, shout out Calais Campbell, huge on that front line, albeit his age. Ramsey with a pep in his new contract step. If you hold Trevor Lawrence, who some people have to be in the top 5 conversation for passing yards this year, to well under 200, you don't hold them to you hold them to no points in the second half, and looked relatively better on defense at parts than they did on offense. And then you go, all right, Buffalo in that 34-point outing, who, to me, is it impressive you go down to the Arizona Cardinals and come back and win? You're supposed to win that game. So this is a team that has a sick record of not losing by more than 6 points under Josh Allen when they do lose. This is a 1-score game, but a short week, banged up quarterback, new cast on the road where there's a real home field advantage in Miami. And if we're going off of eye test last week, all right, neither teams looked that great, but Miami figured it out. And once they figured it out, and still hooked up 400 yards of offense, and I believe they had the number 1 passing offense in the league. Looking back, let's double check here. Yes, they did, 319 yards. Still, as pedestrian as they looked at times offensively, dealing with, of course, off the field stuff. We're humans. How does that not affect a little bit? Shout out Reek, handling it all very well. 319 yards of passing. Now, Achane, banged up, game time decision. Mostert, chest injury, out. Can't sit here and say that doesn't matter. Of course it matters. Starting running back, tandem, Mostert, touchdown machine. I'm looking at this Miami defense, and I'm saying they got a little bit more of DOG than I saw last year. I'm saying, can Buffalo go in and win this game with Josh Allen and his cape on again? I'm not quite sure. You got Jacksonville, you got Baltimore in the conversation, Bills' schedule. I'm waiting for this Buffalo Bills team to show us a little bit who they might be, which is more of a 10-win club than a 12-win club. Dropping games like this, Josh Allen's going to have to beat them. He doesn't beat them. And if they go QB spy, if they set up certain strategic formations, defensively speaking, we got a real shot for Miami to win this game. You look at the splits. You look at the eye test from last week. I need to see Buffalo do it again. I'm sorry. Nobody had 5 receptions. This is a significantly better defensive secondary than the Arizona Cardinals, who have let piece after piece after piece go. I mean, we're talking about Poyer Holland, Ramsey. To me, I think this is a pretty interesting game that everyone might think is a shootout. I think the Scuba Steve unders in play as well. Now, Thursday night football games, I'll get out of here with this. In September and October, with totals of 49.5 or higher, and it's down to 48.5. But if it does trickle up, 79% to the under, 15-4-1, covering by 5.3 points per game. If you take that in to account, you think about weather being a factor. You think about a couple of key injuries on both sides. Still teams trying to get their rhythm. You would think the under could be the play. And if you go to tickets, you go to money at the moment, public likes the over. Money's trending towards the under. This is Wednesday. I'm getting this pod out Wednesday because I picked out Shout Juice Bar -1.5 on Tuesday, and it's moved to 2.5. And this is what the market does. It's an efficient market. It's live. It moves. Money comes in. Tickets come in. We look at splits. I got to take the Dolphins at home, Ace Ventura land. I'm due for a W. I typically do not lose primetime games too many times in a row. I'm ticked off. I had the Rams +4.5. I had the Jets +4.5. I'm due. I'm flat out due. Subscribe, rate, review. Goes a long way. Moneyline Monaco. And we're on Spotify, Sports Gambling with Moneyline Monaco. YouTube channel, Moneyline Monaco. If you had to guess where I am on Instagram, same handle, baby. We are out of here. Don't forget to hug your mothers. Fins up. Laces out, Dan. Miami wins. Miami covers. Ta-ta, real smooth.